So, welcome back to Math for UG1 or Maths for 100 level. Our topic still remains Introduction to Complex Number. In the last video, I did the introductory aspect where I talked about I raised to the power of natural numbers. We know that anything raised to the power of 0 is equals to 1, so which implies that I raised to the power of 0 is also equals to 1. So that settles that. What about if I is raised to the power of negative integer? What are we going to have? So follow me as we go through the class. If you have not subscribed for the video, I beg you, please subscribe. Press the subscription button to subscribe, the red button to subscribe, and also press the notification button so that you will be informed when new video comes online. So back to business, we're talking about iota raised to the power of negative integer. Raised to the power of negative integers. So when we have I raised to the power of negative 1, we know that it is equals to 1 all over I. And this 1 over I want us to manipulate it in such a way that we can get a familiar values for the iota which we have known in the past. Remember that this I raised to the power of 1, we can get it from I raised to the power of 3 divided by I raised to the power of 4. Then what is I raised to the power of 3? I raised to the power of 3 is negative I all over I raised to the power of is 1, which is equals to negative I. Then the next is I raised to the power of negative 2. What is I raised to the power of negative 2? We can write it as I raised to the power of 2 all over I raised to the power of 4, which is equals to I minus 1 all over 1, which is equals to negative 1. The next thing we're going to check is I raised to the power of negative 3. What is I raised to the power of negative 3? It can be written as I all over I raised to the power of 4, which is equals to I is I raised to the power of 4 is 1, which is equals to I raised to the power of negative 4. I raised to the power of negative 4 can be written as 1 all over I raised to the power of 4, which is equals to 1 over 1, which is equals to 1. Or better still, I will use the law of indices. If you can recollect law of indices, we have I raised to the power of, when we have a raised to the power of x multiplied by y is equals to a raised to the power of xy, and it can also be written as a raised to the power of yx. So if we want to use this law of indices, having I raised to the power of negative 4 can be written as I raised to the power of negative 1 multiplied by 4, which can be written as I raised to the power of 4 and negative I outside, which is equals to 1 raised to the power of negative 1, which is equals to 1. So this, I think, explains it better. So thank you. Let's still continue. When we have I raised to the power of negative I raised to the power of negative 5. What is I raised to the power of negative 5? We have it to be I raised to the power of negative 4 times I raised to the power of negative 1. I raised to the power of negative 4 is equals to 1 multiplied by I raised to the power of negative 1. What is our I raised to the power of negative 1? Negative I. Negative I. Then we'll see that the set of numbers or the result is repeating itself. So what is the way to solve it? It is very simple. When you want to find I raised to the power of negative n, where n is set of integers and natural numbers, where n, when n is element of natural number, then you have to solve the modulus of negative n. Then using modular arithmetic, or Get the multiple of 4 that is greater than n and subtract n from it, or get multiple of 4 greater than n, then subtract. So what I mean by this is, if I have I raised to the power of -7, I will get the multiple of 4. What is the multiple of 4 that is greater than 7? 8. And I'll say 8 minus 7 is equals to 1. Then I raised to the power of -7 is the same thing as I raised to the power of 1. And I raised to the power of 1 is equals to I. We are familiar with I raised to the power of 5. You can also try it with this by saying I raised to the power of -5 is equals to the multiple of 4 that is greater than 5 is still 8. And that 8, when we subtract 7 from it, and when we subtract 5 from it, what are we going to have? We have 3. That gives us that I raised to the power of -5 is equivalent to I raised to the power of 3, and I raised to the power of 3 is -I. Finally, the final example, I raised to the power of -2021. Multiple of 4 that is greater than 2021 is 2024. So we say 2024 minus 2021 is equals to 3. So I raised to the power of -2021 is equals to I raised to the power of 3, which is equals to -5. At this point, we should be able to solve or simplify I raised to the power of negative integer. So thank you for watching. If you have still not subscribed, press the red button to subscribe. Press the notification button so that you can get the new video when it is being released on air. So thank you very much. Once again, I'm Obafemi. Welcome to Math 400 level. Thank you for watching.